Salutations! For the past few weeks, we got a ton of news for Halo Campaign Evolved, and I've had plenty of time to marinate all my thoughts on it. Unfortunately, out of all the Halo YouTubers that got access to the early build, I was not one of them. This feeling is very familiar. All the footage will come from the trailers and the gameplay everyone else recorded. I want to give a shout out to Hidden Xperia for lending me his uncompressed 2K footage so I'd have the best quality possible. I'm not going to talk about literally everything that's dropped, mostly things I found notable or interesting that has not been talked about enough. While I didn't play the newest build, I have played Campaign Evolved before, back at HCS Worlds in October. I thankfully still have all my footage, so I can compare a bit of what's changed from then to now. Everyone's already covered the visual aspects of the Silent Cartographer, for example, so no Forerunner architecture opinions today. I'm sure you've heard enough about that. What I'm interested in are the gameplay differences between these two builds. With all that said, let's begin. The assault rifle got an obvious change, a magazine size increase from 32 to 36. The AR starting spare ammo count seems to have increased as well, going from 128 at HCS to 216 in the newest build. A change I don't think anyone's brought up, however, is its new rate of fire. It decreased from Worlds. I believe it's at 7.5 rounds per second compared to HCS's 10 rounds per second. I don't think they changed the bloom reset rate though, so automatic fire is more accurate than before. I'm not sure if damage also increased, but overall, Halo Studios likely made the assault rifle more viable than it used to be because the Worlds version was not good. Of course, we also have the 60 round AR skull. It not only increases the magazine size count to 60, it also widens the firing spread and increases the rate of fire to 15 rounds per second. I'm glad Halo Studios did this, acknowledging us MA5B fans while also appeasing players who mostly prefer a mid-range AR. The rocket launcher is confirmed to lock onto all vehicles, not just the aircraft. I like this because it eases the matchup versus Ghosts and Banshees and saves you time. For Banshees in particular, you originally had to wait until they started flying towards you, and against Ghosts, your shot leading skill needed to be exceptional to hit them. I could be tripping, but I think the Needler got a slight rate of fire decrease from HCS to the new build. It's either that, or the rev up time is different, taking more time to reach the max value. The good news, however, is the spare ammo count increased from HCS, now at 96 instead of 72. The other weapons, including the grenades, plasma pistol, plasma rifle, and magnum, don't seem all that different gameplay-wise. In other good news, they finally added overshield and camo to Campaign Evolved, but like with Infinite's equipment, you hold on to them to use whenever you want. I still miss health packs though. Non-regenerating health meant taking damage was a big deal. For me, having 1 bar of health on Legendary is fun in a challenging way. Any mistake will get you killed, and fighting enemies knowing that fact just hits different. I get that recharging health is more accessible to newcomers though, but a skull to enable health packs would have been cool for a nice challenge mode. Speaking of recharging health, everybody needs to sleep well, especially my real-life human form. Today's sponsor, Manta Sleep, is here to help with their top-of-the-line sleep masks. You could say these masks are elite. The eye cups on these are incredibly soft and non-constricting, giving your eyelids breathing room to relax. They completely block out light, so whether it's nighttime or during a daytime nap, your sleep will go uninterrupted. These masks include adjustable velcros, making them one size fits all. I love to sleep on my side, but other sleep masks don't feel comfortable in this position. Thankfully, Manta Sleep designed the perfect masks for side sleepers like myself. Manta Sleep offers a wide variety of different masks for your needs. The steam mask offers a warm, refreshing feeling on your face, almost like you're at the spa. If you prefer a more brisk touch, the cool mask provides the opposite, a soft, cool feeling akin to the gentlest breeze. They even have the sound mask, which comes with a Bluetooth speaker so you can listen to your preferred soundscapes that put you to sleep. I bet my videos as background noise would fit perfectly with this. Now we have the weighted mask, the variant Manta Sleep sent me. The eye cups on this one apply a calming compression around the eyelids, but not directly on the eyes themselves. Its weight is evenly distributed, so no matter what sleep position I take, it feels so comfortable. Manta Sleep doesn't just make masks, they have auxiliary sleep aid items as well. They sent me this white noise machine. It blocks out distracting sounds and replaces them with a more comforting white noise. With just a click of a button, the noise starts, and there's a multitude of different sounds to choose from. You can adjust the volume to your needs, and the sound can either play indefinitely or stop after a certain amount of time. Make sure to check out the link below to discover all the sleep masks and accessories Manta Sleep has to offer. And don't forget to use the code NEEDLERGANG at checkout. You get a 10% discount while supporting my channel, so it's a win-win. Big shout out to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. And if you don't mind me, I'm gonna go take a quick nap. Be back soon.
One eternity later.
Alright, now that I'm fully rested, let's move on to the new stuff. Starting with the returning weapons from Combat Evolved. The shotgun holds 10 shells, a unique value not seen on any other Halo shotgun. A part of me wishes they stuck to Combat Evolved's 12 shells, but 10 is still plenty, and it looks to be powerful with good range anyway. I'm curious as to why they opted for 10 shells though. Perhaps the Reach Covenant and the Halo 3 Flood are not as resilient to the original shotgun, so a slight reduction to the shell count was a way to balance it. One of the trailers showed it on the second level, Halo. This might be because of remix mode, but if it's meant to show up there on normal gameplay, that'd be a pretty cool callback to Bungie's original intention for this weapon's introduction. In the 1749 build of Combat Evolved, dating back to August 15th, 2001, there were shotgun marines at the first beam tower. With the Sentinel Beam and Energy Sword being usable now as great flood killers, I'd be down to have the shotgun early. The sniper rifle no longer has its first zoom level at 2 times, now using a 4 times value. The rate of fire looks similar to the standards set by Halo 3, making it much slower than CE's. This will definitely rein in the power level of this weapon compared to the original monster. I am also happy to see the night vision come back. Not counting all the prior re-releases of Combat Evolved, it's been nearly 25 years since we've had this. And no, I'm not counting ODST's visor mode or Reach's night vision. I'm talking about the sniper rifle's exclusive night vision feature. I'm really excited that the fuel rod gun, energy sword, and sentinel beam are usable. The fuel rod gun seems to behave like its Halo 2 and onward counterparts, with a 2 times zoom, straight firing projectiles, and clips containing 5 fuel rods. If I had a nitpick, I wish the fuel rod fired in arcs like it did in the original to further distinguish it from the rocket launcher. I don't mind that it's reloadable actually. Unlike the Gearbox PC port's multiplayer fuel rod gun, which used a battery, the campaign version used reloadable clips with 4 fuel rods each. I wish Halo Studios did that instead, but I won't lose sleep over what we have. One thing I noticed is that fuel rod detonations leave small puddles of green fire, and it looks like it should deal residual damage to anything caught in it, but they don't. I think it should, giving it a unique niche on flood levels. Imagine taking out combat and carrier forms with the explosives, while the infection forms run into the fire and die. The energy sword behaves like any typical energy sword. Powerful lunge attacks that use 10% of the battery on Covenant, and 2.5% on the Flood, and I assume the Sentinels as well. I could see the sword being a top tier choice on Flood missions. The last original CE weapon is the Sentinel Beam. There's really not much footage of this online, so I don't have a lot to say about it. It looks strong though, and I hope it deals bonus damage to the Flood. Remix mode adds the weapons set to appear in the 3 prequel missions. These include the SMG, Battle Rifle, Spiker, Brute Plasma Rifle, Needle Rifle, and Beam Rifle. If the SMG does not appear in the standard campaign without remix mode, the decision to turn the assault rifle into a 36 round mag weapon is all the more confusing to me. It looks poised to replace the CE assault rifle's role as the close quarters 60 round mag automatic. Kind of an odd decision, if that's what they're rolling with. At the very least, it holds 360 spare rounds, the same amount dual SMGs in Halos 2 and 3 give you. The battle rifle is essentially infinite, and there's no doubt it'll be one of the best weapons in the prequel. That being said, I'm not a fan of the sound design for it. Hidden Xperia also mentioned to me that the BR had very little shot feedback, rendering it not feeling great to use. From the footage, I believe that. Revert the sound effects to a more classic-like sound and add some oomph to each trigger pull, and I'd be content. The Brutes are a notable inclusion in the prequel, and with them, the Spiker and Brute Plasma Rifle. The Spiker's design is unique and I quite like it. I'm hoping it actually has, say it with me, boosted melee damage. It'd make the Spiker stand out as a hybrid firearm and melee weapon. The Brute Plasma Rifle, on the other hand, it looks solid enough, going the Halo 2 route with a faster fire rate. Does it deal more damage than the standard Plasma Rifle? We'll know soon enough. The Needle Rifle is finally back after almost 16 years, and looks to be just like its Halo Reach counterpart, even down to the crosshair. As much as I love the Carbine, I'm glad they brought this back instead, offering a solid anti-brute and flood weapon for remix mode. The Beam Rifle seems to expend 5.5% of the battery per shot, and like the Sniper Rifle, it's not great versus flood torsos, but they might die when aiming for their infection form regions. Footage for this was also rare, so I don't have much else to add. I will say I'm glad Jackal's snipers are not in the standard campaign. There's also Johnson's stanchion Sniper Rifle, but it's confirmed to be exclusive to him. I have no idea why so much emphasis was put on it in the trailer if it's unusable for players. That was such an odd marketing decision. Now that I talked about all the weapons, I need to bring up the first-person weapon animations. By and large, they could be better. I'm still not fond of the Plasma Rifle's firing animation. The SMG's reload looks pretty weird. The Sniper Rifle's movements look very stiff and don't resemble the original at all. The Battle Rifle reload has the magazine desync with the player's hand. I can keep going. There's a lot wrong here. I had prefaced at the beginning of this video that this would be primarily a gameplay-centric analysis. However, in my opinion, a Halo weapon's fun factor not only comes from its performance, but the animations too. I fear that I won't have as much fun using these weapons if they don't look good in motion. Finally, I'm using all the psychic powers I have to manifest a campaign-evolved flamethrower. I know it's not in the most recent build, but it's gotta be hidden from the public, right? Right? Let's segue to the Wraith, beginning the vehicle section. It's akin to Reach's Wraith, using that version's boost feature. It also has the gunner seat that became a mainstay after Halo 3. In fact, just like in Reach, you can force the pilot to exit by hopping in the turret. Glad to see the Wraith be usable as well, because if the vehicle selection for 2 Betrayals is the same, the Wraith gives us an actual tank-based vehicle for that mission. On the topic of tanks, the Scorpion made its debut in this build. Like the Wraith, it's based on its Reach counterpart, this time in both design and gameplay. It shares the same accuracy and rate of fire, drastically changing the Scorpion's gameplay compared to CE. While I'm excited about the Wraith, the Scorpion concerns me, not because it looks underwhelming, but that it might be too good. CE Scorpion had much less accuracy, and while I think Bungie was a bit overkill on the spread, this encouraged players to move closer to enemies, resulting in more action than just sniping with 100% accuracy from afar. The 2-second fire recovery time also greatly buffs the tank, when in CE, the wait time between shots was 4 seconds. The lack of a coaxial machine gun seems like a big enough nerf for the tank, but the 2-second wait time is so short that the machine gun's exclusion will hardly matter. The Shade turret technically counts as a vehicle, so that's next. It's based on Halo 3's, and while it's fine, I personally prefer the original Shade design and 3-pronged projectile. I don't really have much to say about the Ghost. It seems to be based on Reach's Ghost gameplay-wise, which is fine, and I really like the boost effects. Something of note is that grunts can drive them now, which they could not do in the original game. I prefer grunts being the Ghost pilots anyway, so this is a plus for me. Seat switching is now possible too, but it lacks an animation. The Spirit dropship's turrets got updated between builds. Before, the projectiles were barely noticeable, needle-like objects. Now, they're large blue plasma balls. Finally, the greatest vehicle in the Halo series, the Banshee. This is definitely a modified Reach Banshee given the trick animations it has. Unlike the Reach Banshee, however, you don't have to switch weapons to access the Banshee bomb. You can fire both weapons at the same time now, just like in the original. The design itself is interesting. It has the Reach Banshee's canopy, but the wings from the original trilogy versions. Let's move on to Campaign Evolved's NPCs. At HCS, we had the standard Covenant forces, including the Grunts, Jackals, Elites, and Hunters, as well as the UNSC Marines. Halo Studios seemed to listen to our critiques with Elite visibility. Their energy shields shine more brightly when taking damage, even illuminating surfaces around them. One problem I have with the Jackals, which admittedly is a Bungie mistake, is they don't go on patrols like Elites and Grunts do. Jackals do, in fact, have animations for this in Reach, but require manual scripting to turn on. They have to hoist their weapon, then have their stance pushed to patrol mode. This could be done via command scripts. Going back to the Elites while we're discussing animations, Something that plagued the Reach elites, which sadly still happens here, is their hard ping animation, whenever they stagger backwards after taking a lot of damage, and it was with two-handed weapons in mind. Even when holding one-handed weapons like the plasma rifle or energy sword, they'll play this animation anyway, and it looks so bad. The Brutes use their Halo 3 animation set, along with Reach's Brute dialogue. They can be forced to berserk when this device on their chest is shot at, causing them to even attack their allies. I'm not sure how I feel about that just yet. I'll need to play against them for myself, but it's neat on paper. The other Covenant troops have prequel variants, but until I find out what's different about them gameplay wise, they're just alternate skins for the standard Covenant for now. Most notably, we have the Flood. They're using their Halo 3 animations, which is a blessing and a curse. Halo 3 animations mean combat forms get revived by infection forms, and the tank pure forms are as deadly as they were in 2007. However, these Floods simply lack the ferocity of their Halo 1 counterparts. They move very slowly, especially the carrier and infection forms. The elite combat forms don't have that wild sprint animation they did in CE. Even the carrier forms used to haul ass back in the day, but now they just walk towards you. Combine all this with the players recharging health, sprint, pocketed power-ups, and a much stronger weapon sandbox, I sadly think the Flood will be a lot easier and less scary than in the original. They look great at least, I just wish they were more aggressive. My overall issue with the NPCs is their pathfinding. It's not great. Enemies are constantly walking into things they shouldn't, and there's this air of awkwardness with enemy engagement. It's especially apparent with sword elites, who often stand around and let the players kill them. Perhaps giving sword elites a higher chance to throw grenades could offset this issue by a bit. Now, I want to talk about the two campaign maps present in the build. At Worlds, we only had access to the Sonic Cartographer up until the main facility's door was opened. Now, the entire mission's known to us, and I gotta say, I wish the interior was more different than what we got. I'd consider myself a CE purist. It's my personal favorite game in the series for many reasons. Many would think that I'd be disappointed with how different the direction Campaign Evolved has gone. On the contrary, I wish this game was more different. I was hoping for completely new takes on these missions, one example being the Silent Cartographer Evolved from Halo Custom Edition. I've played the original campaign thousands of times. It's not like Campaign Evolved is replacing the original game, Combat Evolved will still be around. That's why I appreciate some of the differences seen in Assault on the Control Room. Each of the transitionary rooms, which were panned in the original for being repetitive, were given makeovers with entirely different layouts. One of them even has a light bridge you can activate. That's really cool. I also noticed that one of the rooms was removed entirely, specifically the one right after the first elevator. I'm actually okay with this, as it lets you get to the vehicle combat sooner. The room after the vehicle section is still intact, so at least have a stealthy section to experience. Regardless, I wish Halo Studios went harder on these level changes. I'd have liked a completely new take on the setting, perhaps one that even reintroduced scrapped elements like the wildlife, cut missions, and the engineers, which, by the way, are enemies in Reach. I'm also not the biggest fan of these pre-rendered cutscenes. I brought this up in my previous Campaign Evolved video, but there's such a disconnect from the pre-rendered shots to the actual gameplay. Lighting is different, as is the frame rate, and the result is a desynced experience. I felt this way with Halo 2 Anniversary cinematics, and I feel the same now with Campaign Evolves. I'll always prefer in-game cutscenes.
Halo's control center.
I want to shift to Campaign Evolved's replayability. 42 skulls is absolutely insane. I already mentioned the 60 round assault rifle skull, but I was also surprised to see a backpack reloading skull. For those who don't know, in the original game, there's a button combo that allows your weapon to reload while it's put away, so when you switch back to it, it's reloaded and ready to go. I think it's neat that Halo Studios referenced one of the many CE quirks and brought it back to life in a way. The Flores lava skull is creative too, forcing you to take damage while standing on the ground. Remix mode will also spice things up, kind of like the randomizers or New Game Plus modes you see from other games. It randomizes enemy and weapon placement, and you can have the game select different skulls, so every playthrough can be personalized. The final topic of discussion comes from the Q&A Halo Studios posted about this game. Theater mode will not come with Campaign Evolved, and that's a terrible mistake. Theater mode has been a Halo staple since Halo 3, and has been in every main series title since, even if some lacked campaign support. The marketing for Campaign Evolved leaned heavily on its high fidelity graphics. They even posted a short on Twitter showing a grunt mask being drawn by the ghost melting snow. Why not allow the player to bask in the visuals in the best way possible? They said the blind and acrophobia skulls would be a proper substitute, but they really aren't. Trying to film anything this way is extremely clunky, not to mention the fact enemies can see and shoot you, ruining shots. If we have to compromise, theater does not have to be available at launch, but at some point after at least. So many shenanigans could happen that you cannot see, and preserving all those moments can only be a good thing for the community. Finally, while this was to be expected, post-launch content in general, whether it's new skulls or secondary PvE mode like Firefight, is not happening either. I think getting theater mode in first is a bigger priority, but no post-launch content is also a bummer. I know I just glazed the skulls in remix mode for providing a ton of replayability, but that can only last for so long. They specifically mentioned not being interested in a live service model, and I don't want that from them anyway. I'd be content with just theater mode and Firefight. I don't need anything else beyond that. I might make a video about a potential Campaign Evolved Firefight. I'll talk about places in the campaign that would make great firefight spaces. Spoiler alert, we already have one in Reach, but I'm certain there's others. Firefight is already set up in the Reach engine, so I can't picture it being too hard to implement. And that's going to be it for this video on Campaign Evolved. If, and only if, you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, talk about your thoughts on Campaign Evolved in the comments, hype the video, subscribe for more Halo content from this channel, and ring the bell to never miss an upload. My next video will be the Reach Firefight weapons tier list. I'd like to shout out my patrons, as well as my Needler Gang YouTube members, for further supporting the channel. Thank you so much for your continued patronage, and I love each and every one of you. This is the Ventral Vatum. Always remember that you matter more than you think you do, and I'll see you on the great journey.